2, 1. Los 40 de estreno. Presenta.
Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Don't you understand the implications of this thing?
Masterclass con Tim Burton, director de Beetlejuice. En transmisión Argentina, Chile, Colombia, España y México.
All right, let's put it on film. Camera, rolling, sound, and action.
Now's my chance. Fill your guts. Who wants to go first? Bienvenidos.
Muy buenos días, bienvenidos a esta maravillosa Masterclass. Mi nombre es Gaby Cam y ustedes no tienen una idea de lo emocionada que me siento este día de estar aquí, porque hoy todos juntos nos vamos a embarcar en un pequeño viaje maravilloso para conocer qué hay detrás de una de las mentes más creativas, más excéntricas, más imaginativas y más grandiosas del mundo del cine. Este hombre a lo largo de muchos años nos ha regalado personajes entrañables, desde la excentricidad y el caos que es Beetlejuice hasta mucho que conmueve una cinta como El hombre manos de tijera. Pero además nos ha regalado un estilo cinematográfico que nunca antes se había visto, y hoy vamos a poder conocer un poco más de qué hay detrás de una mente tan brillante. Antes de empezar esta masterclass, quiero saludar a toda la gente que se está conectando a través de los 40, en toda la cadena 40, en diferentes países. Hola Colombia, Argentina, Panamá, Chile, gracias por conectarse. Y también gracias a todos ustedes. Les quiero contar que las personas que están aquí, muchos son estudiantes de cine, muchos son estudiantes de administración de empresas también, y muchos de ustedes mandaron sus preguntas, así que esta masterclass la están haciendo ustedes y creo que se merecen un aplauso por estar aquí. Creo que hay mucho que podemos aprender de Tim Burton. Personalmente yo soy una gran admiradora de que siempre ha sido fiel a sí mismo, que es un tipo que nunca ha intentado encajar en un mundo que aparentemente tiene estándares, como es el mundo del cine. Y es alguien que además nos ha contado unas historias que creo que nos han hecho reír, nos han asustado en algunos casos y nos han hecho llorar. Que levante la mano quien lloró con el gran pez. ¿Frankenweenie? ¿Quién llora cada vez que ve Frankenweenie? Gracias, gracias. Yo sabía que no estaba sola en esta masterclass. Y bueno, para mí es un gran honor, no sé si ya estamos listos, creo que sí. Es un honor tremendo, ustedes no saben lo que significa para mí estar aquí. Es un sueño hecho realidad, y sé que es un sueño hecho realidad para todos ustedes. Presentar a quien hoy está aquí en México para regalarnos la secuela de una película que se convirtió en un ícono y una figura de la cultura pop, Beetlejuice. Les pido un fuerte, fuerte aplauso para Tim Burton, que llega a esta masterclass. Hello. Hi. How are you? Go ahead, take a seat.
Hola, hello. Thank you.
I think Tim.
Thank you for coming.
I told you.
You get out of school today? You're out of school today?
No, they are off. They're here to see you.
Good, okay.
I told you were very loved in Mexico.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I haven't been here for a few years, but every time I've come here, I felt very, really special, and you give me such beautiful feelings, so thank you very, very much. Thank you. Gracias.
Sabía que esto iba a suceder. And I think it's safe to say back that we thank you for what you've done for cinema, for the stories you've told.
Anything I can do to get you out of school for a day, I'll do it.
It's not only school day. You've given us so many emotions through your stories. And actually, I would like to start by asking you, you have such a unique vision. You are unique in every single way. So I wanted to ask you, did you ever fear that this vision might not be understood? And if so,
Yeah, to this very day. I mean, there's a lot
Really?
of people, some people have been very fortunate. Some people get it, and then a lot of people don't. So, it's balances itself out. So I feel very grateful and lucky that it's anybody. If you connect with anybody in any art that you do or anything that you do, even if it's one person, it's special and it means something. So, I'll take anything. If it's one or a few people or a lot, it doesn't matter. It's all important. The main thing is to just do something from your heart and to do something and see what happens. That's the best way to go.
And how did you develop, the strength and I think the courage to don't give up on what you thought was right for your career and your vision?
It could be because I'm stupid. I don't know. I don't think.
No.
I never really worried about how are people going to think about this or think about that. I always felt just do what you feel and you hope for the best. So there is a certain amount of not knowing enough about things to be afraid of it or to worry about what people might think. I think that's it's always important to keep what you want to do in you.
And to shut out that little voice in your head, I think, right? Like the imposter syndrome.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, we all have that. Everybody's got that kind of thing. You question yourself and you question, maybe what you're doing. But it's important to just, like you said, as an artist, to keep, whether it works out or not, just keep your passion and keep trying to do what you like to do. That's an important part of it.
So we have a lot of questions from the audience. I'm going to read them. I'm going to start with this one. It says, reflecting on your early work, what creative risks did you embrace that you believe were crucial in defining your distinctive voice as a filmmaker? And how did these choices help shape the path of your career?
Yeah, well, again, it kind of goes back to what I was just saying. I never really overly thought things. I wasn't a very talkative person or didn't communicate very much. So I did it always through the drawings or just my thoughts or ideas. And so that's where it came from. I never really thought, I'm going to be a director or an animator or anything. It sort of almost feel like it just happened in a weird way. But even though I was working on these things, and I had, made little short films as a child, little Super 8 films, and so, that just seemed natural to me. Those are things I just like doing in my spare time or hobby, or and so that's where it just started. And then, like I said, I never made any proclamation. I'm going to become this or that. It felt like a sort of a surprise, and even though I was working in my mind all of the time.
So I think it's safe to say, and I'm speaking on behalf of everyone when I say that you sort of gave us a way to embrace being an outcast or being a misfit. And I wanted to ask you, while creating these characters, do you feel like you somehow reflect on them, and how has that helped to embrace your own outcast features and your own misfit features?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't feel like I was unique in this feeling. I think a lot of people feel the way I felt growing up. At least the school I went to in Burbank, California, I felt there was a very strong sense of categorizing people and putting people in their place, and try to kind of not stop people, but kind of suppress it a little bit. So I always felt different in that way. Like I said, I feel like a lot of people feel like the way I felt. So that's what shaped my whole life, is just, even when you grow older, maybe those feelings aren't there as much, they still stay with you very strongly. So, once you have those feelings of not feeling quite like you fit into society or anything, they kind of stay with you for the rest of your life, whether you like it or not.
And there's that, but then of course it's, having big dreams, which I think most of the people here in this room have. What would you say, and what advice would you give to these people who sometimes feel like their dreams might be just too big?
Well, no, I think the thing is to always, the thing I always did, which I felt helped save me, is I never, even though, I just never felt like I wanted to I felt like you always have to have options of what you want to do. Do you know what I mean? You want to be creative. There's lots of different outlets to be creative. And, you may become something big. You may not do something what you want. But I think you always have to recognize the joy of doing something. The joy of making something, whatever it is. Writing something, creating something, doing a film, doing a drawing, an animation. You have to start with just that pure, I love doing this. And then don't worry about it so much. Just keep going with it, you know, because sometimes we stop ourselves by just going, oh, I can't do this, or it's too big, or it's too that. Just try not to think about it. Try to keep your head down, keep your passion, and keep what you like doing, and just keep going. You know, sometimes it could take, you know, I worked on projects that I didn't, you know, like Nightmare Before Christmas. I worked on that for like 10 years before it even got, you know, anybody even considered making it. So, you know, sometimes things can take quite a long time to get done.
And you have to love what you do, otherwise how do you get through the bad days?
Yeah, I know, yeah, and there are bad days. So, you know, you always have to have that sort of cloud or that cushion or that beautiful thing surrounding you, which is what you love to do.
So we have a question here from one member of the audience. I think Margarita Dávila, ¿estás aquí? Yeah, she's right there. And her question is, what was your inspiration for creating a sequel to Beetlejuice, and what's different about revisiting this world and its characters?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, because it's been many years since the first one, and a lot of times people talked about doing it, but it never connected to me. And I think for me, what finally connected to me is that, I love the Lydia character so much that I kind of go like, well, what happened to her? You know, she was a cool teenager. Is she a cool adult? Is she a horrible adult? You know, so it got me thinking about life and my own journey about, you start out in one way, and then you can, you have different relationships. Do you have kids? Do you not have kids? What life path what journey does your life take? So that's what interested me, because I love that character, and I just wanted to see, like, I know what my own journey was in terms of, sometimes things are good, sometimes they're bad, sometimes you get a good relationship, bad relationship, you never know. And these are only things that you can find out as you get older. And so for me, it became a very personal film in terms of exploring these sort of aspects about life. What are you like as an adult? What are your kids like? What are your relationships like? What have you turned into as an adult? And so I was very interested in that journey. And then sort of setting it in the world of Beetlejuice, it just became like a weird family movie, sort of. So that's what interested me.
And then you have the technological development, the influencers. How does that reflect on the way you deal with those things? Because I think we all struggle. Maybe not everyone. There's people here who's too young, but I feel like we are not getting used to that easy, to what's happening in the world and the social networks. And
no, I know. Well, me neither. I mean, I feel quite grateful that, I was screwed up mentally in a time before all of this, because if I had it now, I don't know if I'd survive, If I was the way I was with social media, I don't know. I don't think I'd be here today.
I think you would. There would be people.
Well,
Some people.
It's tough, as you know.
Okay, we have another question. This is from Valeria González. No sé si estás aquí, Valeria. She's right there in the back. She says, how has Beetlejuice evolved as a character over the years, and what new aspects of his personality or abilities will we see in this new installment?
Well, I mean, it makes me laugh, because if I've ever seen a character be a non-evolving character, it's that way. I mean, he is what he is. I mean, so that's why I love him. You know what I mean? He's able to kind of do things that, good or bad, he sort of just is who he is. So that, I mean, the difference with this is a bit deeper, I would say, because I think in this one, unlike the first, we delve a little bit into where his life is now, down in the afterlife. And I wanted to give a little bit of a backstory to him. I didn't want to show too much about Beetlejuice, because he is the kind of character he is. But, there's a little bit of a backstory, and so it's a little bit deeper and richer, and you get a little bit more insights into the character, but not too much.
And I actually, we talked about this yesterday, and I think it would be great if you could share it with them, because I know you had your own doubts while making this story. And I think what you did with Beetlejuice can somehow embrace people to lose fear and maybe take risks. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I've been in Hollywood for a long time, and for this movie, I just sort of felt, and I was getting very sort of disillusioned by the whole thing, and I felt like I wasn't really going to make anything again, really. I mean, not necessarily with studios, but when I felt this movie, I just sort of put everything aside, I just said, I'm not going to worry about business or how I feel. I'm just going to focus on the movie because I love it. I love the people and the characters. And so I just created it. You know, it's when you're making a film, you get into a nice, can be a very artistic collaboration with a lot of people. So that's what I tried to focus on and not worry about money or that it's a sequel or it's a franchise or whatever, you know. So for me, I just sort of went in my cave and made the movie. So that's what helped me, not thinking about all the outside noise.
And look where we are now. You can even wear stripes without being called Beetlejuice in your daily life. So we have another question. This is from Kiara Terol. No sé si estás aquí. Allá. She wants to know, in your films, you often explore themes of outsiders and societal misfits. How has your perspective on these themes evolved over time, and how do you think they resonate with modern audiences? Yeah, well, I sort of think I sort of said that. It's like I don't really. It hasn't really evolved. I mean, like, I always thought, like, once I got it out of my system, I would move on to other subjects. But like I said earlier, those kind of things, they stay with you forever. So I just explore different ways of looking at that. I mean, because it's one thing that, I know I feel. So I always like to do something where even though if I can't communicate it verbally to an actor or people, I know I feel it. So I know it's able to get it if I feel those feelings. So it hasn't really evolved too much. It's just more different ways of looking at it. When you're creating a character or writing a character, do you often find things about yourself that you didn't know you had in your mind? Well, no, I mean, all characters, I always try to identify with everybody, even no matter what the character are. So, even in Beetlejuice, every character, there's something about them that I can identify with. And like I said, that helps me to be able to communicate to the actors, to the art department, to the cameraman, everything, So those are kind of things, yeah. So it always surprises me. That's why, that's the beauty of making something. You always want to, it's harder to surprise yourself as you get older, but it's not impossible. I do find that it's important to surprise yourself all the time, and no matter what you do. I love that. Gracias, Kiara. Gracias a todos los que nos estuvieron mandando preguntas. Aprovecho para agradecer a quienes también postearon sus preguntas en los40.com.mx. Gracias a ustedes por estar aquí y continuamos con This is a question from Luis Ángel Ruiz. ¿Estás aquí? Okay. He brought people. He brought people. He wants to know, you've taken us on some pretty wild rides through your films. Can you share which of your movies faced the most challenges and what you've learned from that experience? That's a tough question. It's hard for me to say because each one has its own challenges. I mean, that's a weird thing. Anytime you go, oh, I know this is going to be easy, nothing is ever easy. And I don't know. That's a tough question. I think each one has its own challenges, and I can't answer that one. I'll think about it, and but I'll be gone. You'll be gone by the time I think of the answer. I actually want to ask you that. Do you ever, when you're making films, do you ever make choices that seem risky, or have you ever faced that maybe you don't know if you should include something in your film and turns out being like the heart of a film? Well, yeah, no, that happened. I mean, not me, but I mean, people like in the first Beetlejuice, there was talk about cutting out like the Day-O kind of thing because people didn't get it, and so, or like when I did Pee-wee's Big Adventure, there was a character called Large Marge, and they got freaked out about that. They wanted me to cut that. I mean, me, no, I don't have that. Other people have those feelings, But for me, nothing is really risky. It's like if I want to feel like I do it, it's not risky to me. So, but it is. I do get comment. It's risky to other people. Yes. I think it's safe to ask. Que levante la mano quien en su cabeza tiene sonando todo el tiempo Banana Boat. Yes, it's tiki. How do you get rid of that? It's impossible to listening to in your head to Banana Boat. It's just help. No, I mean, for me, it's easy. Do you ever sing it in your head? What? Do you ever sing that song in your head? I sing lots of songs in my head. Then I can't get them out. Then I put another horrible song in my head. And then I can't get that out of my head. You know how it goes. I'll take that advice. Okay, so here's another question, which is, how do you approach collaboration on set with other creatives to bring your unconventional ideas to life while ensuring their input enhances the final product? Yeah,
I mean, because film, as you all, it's a collaborative thing. So, you know, you rely, and that's the joy of it. You know what I mean? It's even when people call somebody an auteur, it's still a group of people that are making something, and so it's always important and special. And you like to work. I like to work with people that I get something from creatively, whether it's costume design or DP or art department, actors, everybody. You know, it's always nice to bounce things off. And like for instance, on Beetlejuice, we had a good script, but at the same time, I encouraged, like on the first movie, for the actors to kind of help do improv, and we made that stuff up all the time on the set, and that creates for certain kinds of films, it creates a certain energy and artistic environment, which is really fun and important. Every film is different, but it's very important to work with collaborators that give you something too.
And now that you were talking about set, you know, especially set design, I know you're known for having things done handcrafted, and this is why I love the next question from Daniela Melnik. ¿Estás aquí? Creo que no estás aquí. Ah, she's right there. She wants to know, what new technologies or tools have impacted your creative process, and how do you incorporate them into your storytelling?
Right. Well, I mean, I've used all sorts of things in years of films. I've used, computer generated, regular animation, stop motion animation. But I mean, I kind of went back to this like the way we did the first one, with everything with practical effects and puppets and makeup and sets, and keeping it all very old-fashioned. I mean, we didn't do any CG in this. We did we did stop motion, but mainly, but we had puppets and things on strings and things like that. So it was very important in terms of the artistic spirit of this movie to do those kind of things. And I think, I appreciate it, the actors appreciate it, everybody appreciates it. You feel like you're actually there on the set making something, and you see what you're making, as opposed to, 6 months later, a year later, it's all gonna look like this or that. We pretty much saw it as it was going, how it was gonna look and feel and be.
How did actors react to this? Because I feel like being part of the afterlife and seeing all these dead people and dead in different ways, how do they react to
everybody,
that?
No, everybody loves it, because you get to see what you're reacting to. You can't. I'm going to say, oh, Michael, you're looking at a guy who just ate too many hot dogs, or there's a woman who's been eaten by a cat. He can actually look at them and see them, and that gets a response that you would get. You wouldn't get that kind of response, even if it's subtle, if you didn't, if they're just looking at a blue screen or something all the time.
Did you have to choose wisely the ways of dying in this film? Did you have any crazy ideas that didn't make it to the final cut?
How would I like to know? How would I not like to? It was fun. We had little office, we had come up with the best ideas and stuff. I used a lot of them, and sometimes, there's a few that I couldn't use that were too politically incorrect. But then, I'll save those for a later time.
I think if someone can get away with that, that's you.
So far. I'm always on borrowed time.
Esperen a que vean las muertes en esta película, es que son muy divertidas. So we have another question here, which is, at any point in your career, did you feel pressure to conform to the industry norm, or alter your unique perspective to fit in?
Yes, I would say. I thought I didn't, but then I kind of that's why I kind of, when right before COVID came around, I started to get really sort of disillusioned, and I started to realize that, in trying, I grew up making movies with studios, so I was always kind of maneuvering. I never had an independent film where I go, I'm doing this, and you always have to maneuver your way through the business and the studios and the people, and I've been very lucky with that, and I've kind of mainly been able to do what I want to do, but there was always this sort of push to make. They said they want you, but don't be too weird. They want you, but don't be too this. They want you. So I did find myself kind of going down a path of not homogenizing myself, but it was just a little bit kind of getting off, and trying to go, okay, I'm going to play, this is the kind of movie they want. I'm going to try to do that and try to do this. And I realized it was not good for me or for anybody. So that's where I kind of came back to this movie, and I go, I'm just going to make kind of what I want to make, and then whatever, see what happens.
Do you feel like you now have that freedom? Do you feel confident when you present a new project now? Has that changed?
No, one's at a time. This one, each one, and I learned a long time ago, like I thought with some success it'd be much easier, and it never got easier. You just take a different path of it's hard to make any movie. That's all I would say. And even if your last movie was a huge success, the next one, and I'll give you an example on Batman. I did Batman. It was a big successful movie. Then I wanted to do Edward Scissorhands. They didn't want to do it. So I had to kind of maneuver my way, find another way to get that movie made. So I've had that a few times where you'd think, oh, success, I can do kind of what I want to do. So I learned a long time ago that each one is an interesting struggle to get made.
I'm glad you got them made. That's what I'm going to say. And I think they're all glad. Estamos felices de que hizo las películas que ha hecho, ¿no? Sí. Yes. Seriously. And Tim, we're about to wrap this up. But I think, just like me, most people who's here is never going to forget what you just said here. Thank you so much for what you've shared with us. And I would like to ask you for one last piece of advice, because I think everyone here, when they leave, are going to be like, I met Tim Burton and he told me this and I keep this in my head. So
don't keep it in your head too long. Think of a bad song and put that in your head instead.
That's a great advice. But what will you tell them now that they're leaving? What is one thing that has helped you through this very crazy industry and to stay true to yourself?
Well, I mean, what I feel here is a beautiful energy, and I mean that. It's very, very strong and clear. And all I would say to you is sort of what I said at the beginning. Don't worry about what's going to happen, where you're going to be. Just, if you're passionate about something, just do it, and see what happens. And just keep your options open. I think that's the key. Don't put yourself in your own box. Just keep doing what you do and just hope for the best. I mean, that's what I did, and I had I didn't do well in school. I didn't really do that well in certain things. And like I said, it took a long time to get certain projects made. So just keep your passion, keep the thing that you love, and even if you get to just that stage, you're at a higher level than a lot of people. So keep going with it. Keep going for it.
Thank you so much. So what we can get from here is that you're not only amazing, but you're also wise. So thank you so much for sharing this with us. Muchas gracias a todos ustedes por esto. Gracias a Tim Burton y gracias a los 40. I think you're really giving us a lot of great things here.
Thank you. So how many colleges, how many different schools?
¿Cuántas escuelas hay aquí, sabemos? 4? Tenemos 4. Ok, gracias por estar aquí. Muchas gracias a todos ustedes. Okay, so les tengo buenas noticias. We have 5 more minutes. Yes. Okay, so
I talk fast, sorry.
So we have another question then. This is from Marta Patricia Chávez. No sé si estás aquí. No, creo que no. But she wants to know, is there any recurring object or symbol in your films that holds special personal significance for you? Stripes, maybe?
No, I don't know. I put a lot of dogs in movies. I don't know. If I think back, I mean, I've had a few dogs that are kind of my heart and soul. So I put a lot of dogs in movies. Dogs and weird people. I don't know.
We are all weird. What's normal anyway? Come on. I actually wanna ask you this because I think it's very important how you always have an emotional side to everything you do. But it's easy to forget that you started somewhere. Like we see what you do today, and it's like, he's amazing, but you started somewhere. Do you remember when was the first time you actually felt like a story or a character was finished? And what went through your head when that happened?
No, I mean, look, it's oftentimes characters are known characters, like Batman or whatever, Alice, or known characters. But for me, I would develop characters sometimes from the subconscious. Sometimes it'd be like Edward Scissorhands, sort of based on how I felt as a teenager, or Jack Skellington. I'd do these drawings and I didn't even know what they meant until it just kept drawing it, and then it became kind of a. So a lot of characters for me, the best ones come from the subconscious. They come from not, I'm going to do a thing about this or that. They kind of go like, ooh, this is sort of something that interests me. I don't know why. And then I start to think about it and feel it. And so those, to me, are my favorite characters that come from that sort of creation.
And when was the first time you actually felt as a filmmaker? Because I feel like you sometimes don't get to that point even when you have done a lot.
I felt like I kind of knew when I did my first short films, like Vincent, and the first short film I did, because that was a fully kind of little realized idea, and I think that was probably the first. I mean, like I said, as a teenager and a child, I used to make little Super 8 movies and things, but that I just thought that was just for fun and for my sort of hobby or whatever you want to call it. But it was probably when I did the Vincent one that I started to maybe feel like that's kind of where I was maybe would like to be in some way.
Tim, I cannot let you go without asking you something. Last time you were here, you actually told me the story of how you grew up near a graveyard, yes. And you used to trick all your neighbors and your friends. Yes. Can you please tell them about that? Because I feel like it's the most Tim Burton it gets.
Yeah, well, I did grow near a cemetery in Burbank, and I don't know, I lost movies, but I must have had a lot of free time. This is where I should have been in school, but I wasn't.
Like you.
But I would do. I was always. It was almost like going back to the early show days. I remember doing things like I convinced these kids. They were obviously younger than me because anybody my age wouldn't have believed it. But I convinced them a spaceship had crashed in the park nearby, and so I put a bunch of garbage and wreckage in there and some weird alien footprints and scared all the kids into thinking that an alien had landed. Or then I had convinced some other kids that I'd thrown my little brother in the pool, and I put too much acid in the pool, so I just threw his clothes in the pool, and so they thought he'd dissolved in the pool. But these are young kids, so that I couldn't pull this over on anybody else, but these. So.
They must be traumatized by now. Did you ever get in touch with them again? No. What are they doing for their lives?
I left town quite early in Burbank.
I cannot thank you enough for sharing all of this with us. Thank you so much for everything you've given us today. You have no idea.
No, thank you all so much.
Not only today, but I think with your career, everything you did, how you made us film whenever we watch something you do. Just thank you so much. Thank you. And I think we're going to do a group picture if you all agree.
Yeah.
Seeing is believing. What the f?
We have to strike now! Annihilate! Kill! Kill!
Los 40 de Estreno presentó
Not to mention the fact that you're talking to a dead guy!
Masterclass con Tim Burton.
Now what do you think?
Director de Beetlejuice. Agradecemos a la cadena 40 en Argentina, Chile, Colombia, España y México. Gracias por acompañarnos.
Are you people insane?
We'll see this last laugh.
Ripping from my dreams.
Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
De Estreno.
Don't you understand the implications of this thing?